Awesome. Thanks for answering those questions. Big deal. Cool. So like we said, if you took the time to answer those 3 questions, super important, because that's going to lay the framework for everything that we're doing today, okay? Lay the framework for everything that we're doing to what? Day. Got it. So, all right. Again, go with me on this stuff. Trust me, it works. Trust me. Okay, so here's how we're going to set the frames, because the goal is for you to be excited about this thing. The goal is for you to be what? Excited, because everything is energy. Everything is what? Energy. And if you have a shitty low energy, there's no way for you to get what you want in your life, I can promise you. Because big energy, big results, big returns. Big energy, big results, big returns. Say it. Big energy, big results. If you don't have big energy, you can't get big results. Small energy, small results. That's fine for some people. That's not how we play the game in our academy. All right. So that said, I like sports analogies, right? Everybody knows sports. We all go through this. So what is the distinction? Not the difference. The distinction between, let's say, everybody knows football, right? So let's say there's only a couple things going on in any winning football team. All right. So there's, you throw the ball, you catch the ball, you tackle somebody running to the touchdown, right? You have to stop them from making a touchdown, or you run the ball to the touchdown. It's kind of only 4 main things. I'm not saying there's not a bunch of different pieces that go along with it, but those are just the basics, right? I mean, there's only a couple things happening in football, period. I don't even play football, and I know that even if you don't play, you watch, you've heard about it. We're talking about American football. That said, could you imagine being on a football team and not knowing the basics? Not knowing the basics of just what it takes to win the game, all right? When you think about it from that perspective, man, people all around the world are trying to do like these crazy cool shit in like business and life and win and succeed and all this other stuff without even knowing the basics of winning the game. All right? So why are the basics important? Because let's picture it like this. Of all the football teams out there, there's 2 teams. There's a winning team and a team that doesn't win. There's a successful team on this side, and then there's an unsuccessful team. So while both teams know the basics, what is the difference between a winning team and a team that loses? Strong foundation, strong basics. So that's why we're only going over the shit that works. And I know you guys have heard this before. 20% of 80%, right? Well, 20% of your efforts, no spell check on the board, gives you 80% of your results, right? So is it cool today if I just give you the 20% of the shit that works as it relates to the principles? There's probably a million principles. I don't know a million principles. I know the ones that's worked for me. I know the ones that's worked in my life. I know the ones that's worked for the guys in our academies, and I continue to teach them across the board for people who have succeeded in different arenas, from elite performers and pro fighters, pro athletes, Olympic athletes, special forces candidates, entrepreneurs that have multiple different businesses, whether they're internet marketers, whether they have companies that they run, or business professionals, real estate investors like us, real estate investors who actually run a business, not just people who just kind of buy properties on the side for a side portfolio. These principles across the damn board are the 20% that gets to 80% of our results, guaranteed, as it relates to who we are as producers and top performers. All right. So that said, is it cool that you take the 20% of what I'm giving you? Is that all right with that? Awesome. So let's go. So what did we say? We're working on what? The 20% that gets us 80% of the what? Results. Got it. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for playing along. So here's how this is going to work. If you know, we'll go with the manifestation of things, right? So your thoughts plus feelings plus actions equals results, right? So your thoughts and your feelings are the inside world, right? Say your inner world. Say it, inner world, right? So if your thoughts and feelings are in the inside world, right? Results are in where, right? The outer. Results happen in the outer world. They manifest. This is how you create shit in your life, right? So if you're trying to buy a property, you think about it, you go learn, and then you go do, and then all of a sudden you have a property or not, right? So, but this is the outer world. This is the inner world. So action is super important. That's the bridge. Action is the what? Bridge between the outer world to the inner world. And if action is so important, we all know what it takes to be successful is action, right? So from that perspective, what do you think stops most people from taking action? What do you think stops people from taking action? right? So let's pick a couple. You guys go with me. What do you think? Write them down in your own journal, but let's say, so some people will stop taking action from what? Main thing, fear. Fear, it all boils down to fear. So fear comes in different forms, right? So let's say stress, doubt, overwhelm, maybe they disapproval, fear of people not liking them, fear of not being good enough, fear of this, fear of that. All of those things kind of boil into some element of, they're just boiled down to fear. And if fear stops you from taking action, and action is the only thing that you're going to get anything in the real world, that is the main, that's the main stopper of all success, right? If you're going to be successful, you're going to succeed as a real estate investor. You're going to succeed as an entrepreneur. You're going to succeed as a husband, succeed as a father. Fear stops you, right? And let's be real about this. And I go through this with my guys, and I'm going to go through fast. You get this? Fear what? Stops you from taking what? Action. Say it. Fear stops you from taking action. Thanks. Right? So if we take a look at that from that perspective, fear. So what is the definition of fear, guys? What is the definition of fear that you've heard? You've all heard false evidence appearing real, right? And I write that down when we go to our seminars. A lot of guys spill that out, and you might have thought that in your mind, but that's not the definition of fear. That's an acronym. So the definition of fear is the anticipation of pain. So the definition, write that down, the anticipation of pain. So for someone to not take action, they're afraid that the action that they take, that the fear comes in and it stops them from taking action because they're afraid that there's going to be some pain associated with that. And like I said, what are some of the forms of fear? Depression, anxiety, stress, overwhelm, not feeling good enough. All that stuff plagues our mind, especially as high performers, especially as real estate investors, entrepreneurs. Like, what if we fail? What if we get this wrong? What if they ask us for proof of funds and we don't have it? What if we have all this stuff? What if I've already maxed out how much credit I can get to buy another property and I can't buy anymore? What if my wife gets mad at me? What if I can't be there for my kids? What if we lose everything? What if we go bankrupt? Fear will stop us from taking action on the thing that's probably going to make us the most successful and create the shit that we want in our real world, like our real life, like results, right? Because what do we really want? Results, right? So that said, let's break down what fear really is. Where does fear come from? Fear comes from where? Where do you think? Write this down. The mind. Right? Because is fear happening right now? Is fear future-based? Yes or no? Or is it happening in the present? Right? Can you be afraid of something that's happening right now? Yes or no? No. You can just take action. So fear is future-based. Whatever you're afraid of hasn't happened yet. It's all the mind's basic questions of what if this happens, right? Because what's the mind's favorite phrase? What if? Right? Write that down. Every time you're afraid of something, usually tethered off of some what if. What if this happens? What if that happens? It's all future-based because fear can't stand in the present with you. Write that down. Fear can't stand in the present with me, you. All right? When you understand all of those things that I'm telling you, that shit's going to major breakthrough for you. That you have to do what now? Train your mind to overcome fear. You must learn to overcome fear. You have to own your power, right? The definition of power, we'll use this, and I think you should know this thing because this is why action and all that other stuff matters. When I say power, the definition of power, I need you to write this stuff down, bro. It's so important. I need you to say it with me. Cool? After I tell you what it is. It is the ability to act or do now. That's major. The definition of power is the ability to act or do. So power, owning your power, so you can actually take action, so you can get results, is the main key component of this whole thing. You know, as simple as that is, like I said, common sense isn't always common practice. When I heard that, I was like, huh. Yeah, that's right. Probably like for you, you're probably like, shit, I know that already. But if you don't have what you want, first question, like, what do I want right now? What do I want? Why don't I have it? When do I want to have it? You got to take a look at all the things that come along with that thing. So if your thoughts about that thing happen, bubbles up a feeling, and that stops you, whatever those thoughts and feelings are, triggers something that keeps you from taking action. Because what you think about affects how you feel. What you feel affects what you do. What you do affects what you get, good or bad. If what you do to get that thing isn't powerful, it isn't 100%, you aren't going to sign a contract and freaking go off and do what you said. You won't go raise the money. You won't negotiate the deal. You won't sign up for this new program. You won't join the league. Whatever it is, that will affect your actions. And you will succeed, or you will succeed at a less thing. Like we said, sports teams. Who's more effective? A successful sports team, ones that succeed, ones that don't always succeed. Same basics. Just because someone's getting more done doesn't mean they're better than you. That just means they're taking more what? Action. Because they're overcoming more what? Fear. Cool? And they've trained their mind to overcome fear. They've trained their mind to continue to take what? Action. Because they began to own their power. Woo, that's good, man.